we gave them a good bit of time, downtime and everything, but it was a definite disappointment in that we came up short and we had our opportunities and that, but you got to take advantage of those and you got to find a way to win those games. And we didn't that one, and they did, so they got that. So what we got to do is we got to get the next one. So doing the bye week was good. We got a little jump start on West Virginia that way, but also got a lot of kind of reps and kind of a mini scrimmages and that for some of the young guys, but actually some of the older guys too that need more reps that haven't played as much in games and maybe are playing more in games now because of whatever injuries or depth chart changes and that. So it was a good week. I think they got refreshed, had some days off to kind of get the legs back underneath them, get some guys healthy. I mean, this time of the year you got a lot of guys that have bumps and bruises and those, so that was I think positive. We had a lot of guys running around again today that maybe weren't getting as many reps last week, so it was positive.
Coach, I don't know how much you can say about it, but if you can, how much have you been working kind of Maverick and Allen? How much have they been practicing at all with you in team one-on-one
nope,
stuff?
Not in teams. One-on-ones, I got to throw a little bit of one-on-ones last week. They're just kind of still in the kind of injury protocol. They're getting to dress out now and everything, so they got their helmets, and today they had their little foam deals on and everything, so that's that. But the training staff will kind of tell me when they're kind of full go, so we can start putting them in the team or in the 7-on-7 and those types of things. And also you got to balance it this time of the year, because are you getting those reps to actually they're getting in, or are they getting those reps just to get those reps? Because we got to get Jet and Jackson ready to go in case if anything happens there. But those right now, that's our two guys to go with.
Does it allow you to maybe have Jet run the ball a little more freely because you're not worried about, as these guys start to get healthier, you're not like, okay, Jet is one of our two healthy quarterbacks, so he can't be taking hits left and right. Is there a little more freedom there, or is it kind of the same?
Maybe a little bit, but you still kind of want to. I mean, until those guys get cleared in that, I mean, you don't want anything to happen to him. So I mean, we're going to protect him, and within the offense, he shouldn't. I mean, other than scrambles, there's a few times when he might carry the ball kind of outside on the edge a little bit on some pulls or some stuff that way, but still kind of want to use him more as a distributor than as a primary ball carrier.
On the subject of keeping quarterbacks healthy, West Virginia was 8 sacks last week. How are they effective at getting pressure, and how much are y'all emphasizing that with your offensive line guys?
Well, it's a big deal. I mean, they did a great job last week against Baylor, and what they do is they're multiple up front. They're as multiple as anybody we've seen up front, as far as they're really grouped as a 3-down team, but very seldom do they line up in just a 3-down structure. And they're bringing a fourth guy. There's a lot of line movements, a lot of twisting. They're very active. 56 on nose guard is as good a nose guard as we've faced. And if he doesn't get the tackle for loss, he's normally the reason causing it in that way. And he's a real disruptive force in the middle. So we got to handle that. And we've played some good ones this year, and our guys have done a nice job. So it's a good challenge to them to kind of keep our quarterback clean, keep us upright and everything. And we need to do that also with play calls by not putting us in a lot of long yardage situations, drop back situations. A lot of times where we're going to be standing back there for 3.5 seconds. That's not going to help the O-line. It's not going to help us. So we got to be smart with that and make sure we're doing things to get the ball out of his hands, but also stay ahead of the chains and stay on schedule that way, so we can help ourselves. You can see Baylor get a little bit behind, and they had 6 3rd and 11 pluses last week, and that's where they get the tee off and really get after you in the pass rush. And they did a phenomenal job on the edges and also inside being disruptive. But there are a lot of line movements. It's a good challenge for our guys up front.
Do you want to see more from the receiving core, you think, or have they been as productive enough for you?
We've kind of went back and forth. Like the outsides will kind of be the dominant guys for a couple weeks, and then like in the Kansas game, it was more from the tight ends and the inside guys. I mean, you like to get both of those guys, both of those groups kind of going together at the same time, so it's not heavy slanted one way or the other. Sometimes it's by coverage, but really have an opportunity to get both those guys, kind of both those groups in explosive plays and everything. We've kind of went back and forth throughout the year, kind of a little bit of a yo-yo on who's getting the explosive plays, inside or outside. So I'd like to get both sets that way, and we've got enough talent there. You've seen it in spurts. We just got to be more consistent. We got to do a great job getting the ball to them in the areas so they can go do those things.
Penalties have been an issue for this team in the past, not necessarily this year, but it seems like when they do happen, it's kind of the Murphy's Law aspect where it's the worst possible time. You'll get a first down and then a holding call brings it back. How do you address that specific type of situation?
Well, there's different kinds. There's pre-snap penalties, which pre-snap penalties we don't. There's no excuse for it. We gotta be better with how we're getting the play to them, our cadence and all that stuff. We should never jump off sides. And then post-snap penalties, which our guys have been really good kind of post-whistle penalties, and we've had most. The ones that kind of happen in between, normally it's a fundamental technique thing. I mean, the holding, we put ourselves in a tough position, and what we do is and they're competing to try to not get beat on a play. And what you do is you get your hands outside, you get your lowers out of whack, and then all of a sudden you're in a deficit, and then next thing you know you're having to grab on, or it seems like that, and you get the flag. So no, we're constantly on it, and Coach Farmer does a great job of coaching in practice. When it happens in practice, they're hearing about it. They're getting kind of critiqued at that time, but also we're pull them out and you're back there doing push-ups or up-downs, because we're not going to do that. But for the most part, we've been pretty good. But what we do is we find a way when it does happen. And normally we got to do a better job of overcoming them. We're right now just under 50% of the time overcoming those penalties, which they're going to happen, but you got to try to eliminate them as much as you can. But when they do happen, it's an extra 5 yards, an extra 10 yards. We can still get it back. We just got to put more good plays together in a row. So it's kind of falls on everybody else to try to fix it for the guy who gets called for it.
With Armand now out, are you confident with what you've seen, especially from Sir Roderick against Baylor and Tazon at times, that these guys can carry now a heavier load?
Oh yeah, I think those two guys they're kind of chomping at the bit that they're going to be leaned on more. It's a kind of a two-man group now in that, and both those guys are very explosive. I mean, Tay's really been explosive the last few games with his touches. Hasn't had as many as Sir Roderick, but what he's done, he's been real explosive with them, so it gives him a chance to get more touches, and then get Sir Roderick I think he feeds on the more he plays, the more he gets the ball, the better he plays. Like in the Baylor game, he kind of got stronger as it went, so I think it's a real positive for them. I mean, we want to lose a guy, and Ahmad was doing such a good job for us, especially in short yardage and hard yardage runs for us and that, but other guys have to step up and this next guy up, but it gives those guys an opportunity, and we've got enough in our backfield to take advantage of it and also be good enough there to win football games.
When you're in a position during a season where maybe you're not as competitive as you want to be win-loss wise, but you're still fighting for a bowl game berth, do you find it difficult to get 18, 19, 20-year-olds to focus on this season, maybe for their senior players, when they could maybe let their mind wander and think about, next season?
I don't know. I mean, you haven't kind of felt that around the deal. I mean, they're kind of they've done a really good job of kind of focusing on this next game and just kind of putting everything into that. And, I mean, you've seen it in the last really 3 games. They've been able to kind of focus on that game to try to win that game. It wasn't, hey, if we win this one, we can win it. No, we got to take care of this one in that way, and this is just the next one up. But the kids have done a real good job of kind of staying within the moment, staying kind of being where their feet are and focusing on this. And then what you got to do is you got to deal with whatever happens on Saturday. You got to deal with it come Sunday, Monday, in that way, good or bad. So they've done a good job with that, and I think they've been working really just trying to get better as an offense, better as a team, better as an offense on our side of the ball. Just our best game still to come, and that's what we're focusing on in practice each day.
Got time for about 2 more.
David, did you coach in that stadium, at West Virginia Stadium, during the tail end of your Missouri time, or did you miss?
No, we left Missouri. We left right when they joined, so that was kind of the mix. I've been to the state of West Virginia, being from Ohio, but I've never been to Morgantown. I've been to some other places through there, so that'll be the first time. And I know their fans are very, very supportive, very good. So we got to be ready for the noise and the kind of the onslaught of that. But that's part of the fun of going on the road, to go and try to quiet down the crowd with what your actions are in that way.
When you watch the tape of Baylor, West Virginia, what do the Mountaineers do well to be able to hold down that vaunted Bear attack?
Really, they got them in a lot of third downs, especially third and longs. They did a great job kind of on first and second down. Really, I mean, they ended up running for a good bit of yards, but it was on a lot of carries, and that's kind of what the year's been. I mean, they've given up rushing yards, but it's not been on. I mean, it's not 6 and 7 yards at a shot. You got to earn the yards you get with that front 7. They do a really good job of fitting the run with kind of the different angles and different twists and different ways that they approach it. Their backers are very similar to some other weeks where it's snap of the ball, they're on the line of scrimmage, they're standing about 2 to 3 yards away from it, and there's a lot of bodies up there, so you got to really work for that, work for seams, and then once you get through there, then you got to do something with it that way. But they did a really good job on those early downs against Baylor, especially in the run game, and then the amount of tackles for loss and sacks was tremendous. I mean, you want to get off the field, you get 8 sacks, and a lot of those came on third down key situations. It was critical. They had a goal line stand. It was 3rd and goal from the inch line, and they stopped them on 3rd and 4th down, and that was big. And they just kind of kept coming after them, and that the defense has really played, I think, pretty solid all year and everything, and getting some support from the offense. And all of a sudden, they're a much more stout team when the kind of the defense isn't out there all the time.
So as a coordinator, when you see that a lot of rushing yards put on a lot of attempts, does that make you just go in with more of a patient approach in the running game, or do you kind of change it around to to avoid maybe going at that strength for them?
Well, I mean, I think it's a strength, but it's really what we're trying to do is just put ourselves in the best run boxes. Where can we get our best kind of angles so we can put our guys in the best position? So with what they do, you probably eliminate some of the run game. You're probably a little bit more defined, a little bit more simple, a little bit less of it, so you can rep those because you're going to get a lot of different looks from the defense, so the kids can see those looks over and over and over again. And then you got to have the ability to, when they are stuffing it inside or they're playing everybody inside, can we get the ball outside, either with throwing a screen, quarterback pulling it, or an outside type run to our guys that way, because they're definitely playing in.